Everyone, welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick on this side of the comms, of course, Justin, providing audio commentary and gameplay for the sake of your amusement. So, another day, another controversy. Seems we can't go a single week without some company doing something stupid in the games industry. This time, it's Zenimax. Well, Bethesda, Zenimax. Well, let's just say it's just Zenimax today, because Microsoft's been lumped out of this. Or wait.
Kind of.
Against Microsoft. No, so we'll just say it's also Microsoft as well here. Because they do own Zenimax these days. So, what I'm referring to here is apparently a strike that happened back on the 14th. If you're not aware, what basically ended up happening was supposedly, apparently hundreds of devs at Zenimax, who, again, are responsible for Fallout and Elder Scrolls and whatnot, went on strike against Microsoft. It was a single day strike, so it's not like a continuous thing. It was a single day thing. But back on the 13th, my mistake. But the reason for their strike, their walkout in their mainland and Texas studios, is that it comes to the idea of outsourcing work and remote work options, said the union, in a statement that the union, the CWA, the Zenimax Workers Union, interesting they have their own internal union, which is interesting. They wrote in a post on Twitter, "We are not afraid to do what's necessary to make sure that Microsoft meets us at the bargaining table over key issues like remote work options and outsourcing." And that they continue saying, "We deserve job security and improved working conditions. Hundreds of our members are striking from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. in mainland and Texas today to tell Microsoft to stop dragging their heels." So by the sounds of it, it seems that there's issues over at Microsoft when it comes to outsourcing work and, conditions and just the usual things coders are usually struggling at, which is basically being treated like junk.
You know, the usual.
The usual. However, this is hardly anything new because the games industry has been somewhat prolific when it comes to, uh, well, problems lately, and this is arguably not even the first issue we've seen recently. I would remind you that, well, technically it's not the games industry itself, it is tangential to the games industry, but the ongoing strike from the voice actors against the games industry is still ongoing, so it seems recently we're getting a lot of strikes coming through. Granted, like I said, that the one at ZeniMax was only a single day, whereas the one from the Voice Actors Union is ongoing, and as far as I know, still ongoing, so, eh. Whether Microsoft actually, does anything about this, we will see. But, it is certainly worth to kind of mention. Of course, Microsoft is a big studio, or big publisher conglomerate. Honestly, what would you even call Microsoft at this point? They have so many things and so many pies. But they're definitely a big conglomerate. Let's just go with that term. That, while I'm hopeful that this does do something to change Microsoft's mind on these matters, I'll be honest and cynical here, I wouldn't hold my breath. Like I said, the games industry is known for kind of running coders into the ground. The entire coding industry is known for working coders into the ground. So the idea of, issues like better workplace conditions is hardly a new term in the games industry, and hardly something that will, well, I wouldn't say hardly, but is definitely something that is not uncommon to have complained about. As for outsourcing work, I kind of bring the voice actor strike to kind of wrap this kind of back into the idea. I mean, this isn't the first time we're hearing the idea of outsourcing work. The only difference is outsourcing to where. I mean, when the case of the voice actors, it's outsourcing to AI, which
Yes.
kind of insourcing in a way when you think about it, but when it comes to outsourcing work, it is interesting that Microsoft has been outsourcing work though when it comes to their coding efforts. But
Hard to tell what's going on that front.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Justin?
I think it's really weird overall. Like, obviously they're trying to save on some money here and there, But it's weird because normally if they're outsourcing something to, like, let's say fucking AI or whatever, they'd normally just say it. They'd outright say, "Yeah, no, we're giving this to the AI or something."
Mm.
But in this case, they're not, because they're obviously not saying anything AI related. So obviously they're giving it to an entirely separate group of people. But that puts into question, all right, but then who?
Well, this is interesting because as I'm currently looking at some of the other evidence we've got here, this is interesting too because the Zenimax Workers Union is actually a relatively new union. It actually was only formed back in 2023 and was made up of about 300 testers at the time, and was actually Microsoft's first union. So that is interesting. Though weirdly enough, it was eclipsed later on in March of that same year by Activision's Quality Assurance United, which is another union under Microsoft. So Microsoft seems to be having this issue lately of having, well, I say issue, good for the people working, but as far as Microsoft management is concerned, probably definitely an issue internally of unions propping up all over the place. And now Activision supposedly also had a union formed back in 2023 in March of 600 quality assured testers. And that became the largest union that they currently have.
Yeah.
And it seems, again, as reported by The Verge, that one of the big sticking points in Microsoft's corporate policy is the idea of outsourcing. Remote work policies also seem to be a major sticking point as well, it seems. My mistake. Remote work policies seems to be a major sticking point here. And I imagine that the onset of COVID-19, that this was, or should we say C19 or something like that? Oh, well. We're not getting enough views of the algorithm will penalize us for it anyway, so we're probably fine. But, with the onset of the C19, it definitely probably became a major issue as far as corporate policy was concerned. The Verge continues saying that many video game companies instituted flexible working hours from home. They've recently begun rolling back in October of this year. So my guess is that the whole work from home thing that was kind of introduced being during the C19 pandemic was actually something that was quite favored by a lot of programmers and quality testers and just workers in the games development industry. But now that, the C19 has kind of receded and become less of a issue in the eyes of the public, companies want to try to roll those things back and bring people back into the office, which doesn't seem to be going well as far as all things are concerned. As we've said today, back on the 13th, Zenimax people walked out over that very reason, as among others. So it is interesting. What do you think, Justin? What's your opinion on the whole remote work shtick when it comes to game developers?
It's interesting because all it's going to majorly do is go and separate developers from one another, and it makes it very difficult for them to not only communicate but organize their work into one singular project. It is extremely easy in a case where you have multiple people all over the place working on one project, and you don't put in every single amount of effort you can into ensuring that they all communicate with one another. Because for all you know, like guy number A can go and do update something, but that conflicts with like B and C's work as well. So yeah,
So you would say bring them back into the office?
I would well, not specifically bring them back into the office. I'd say like don't go around outsourcing different parts of a project every 5 seconds and making it so that like completely different people from all over the place are working on the project all of a sudden for a moment or two, and then try to go and get like your main force to finish up everything without going and taking all the precautions and measures you'll need to make sure that they can actually go and continue the work. Like,
Well, like
it's very easy to go and have people like stay at their home, and it's like you've got a team of developers, but sometimes some of them stay at home. As long as they're able to communicate with one another, for the most part, they should be able to work.
that seems to be, like we said, the main sticking issue here, the idea of the restrictive work-at-home policies.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, it seems the Communication Workers of America, the CWA, another union, the organization committee that supports Zenimax Workers Union, along with multiple other video game unions in the U.S., has filed an unfair labor complaint with the National Labor Restriction Relations Board over contracting out work without notifying the union as well. With the article also going on to say that according to workers, Microsoft's restrictive terms fail to accommodate workers with medical issues or doctor recommendations, which is also quite interesting. This is hardly, though, like I said, the newest in the line of strikes. Like I said, back in 2021, Raven Software, a subsidiary of Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard. Is there a difference at this point? Also had a bit of an issue. So with their people organizing a walkout.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting that, like I said, the last few years we've been having a surge of kind of uh walkouts and just like actions against the corporations by workers, which is not in actually itself, I would say, a bad thing, because like I said, just in 2023 alone, we had two different unions organized under Microsoft, the one by Zenimax and the one by Activision. So it might also just be an indicative sign that unions are gaining more traction in the video games industry, something I've always personally felt like should happen, because as we've said earlier in the video, developers and coders and just people who work in software in general are generally treated as expendable or disposable, I should say. So it's it's not shocking that unions would organize, especially in this industry.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it could just be a sign that the unions are just gaining more traction, which all the power to them, like I said. But that seems to be where we stand at the moment. As far as Microsoft's official response to the matter is, can't see anything that says anything about it. Hopefully, of course, the article also concludes by saying the SAG strike, the after, or basically the one involving the voice actors as well as Raven Software's. This one is not going to last as long. Like I said, Zenimax themselves, their union stated it'll only be a day. Whether that will actually impact Microsoft's decision making, we will see, but it will certainly bring the communication to the forefront as far as Activision, or excuse me, as far as Microsoft is concerned. So we will see. Honestly, I hope that they succeed, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there is policy in the U.S., and I might just be misremembering, where depending on how things work, you might actually end up being fired if you go on strike for some things. So,
It depends.
but again, I might just be
It
misremembering
depends.
that one. Been a while since I've looked at U.S. law, so not as many union protections.
Yeah.
But hopefully there's no retribution regardless on Microsoft's part. But I doubt it. At most, I imagine they might just ignore it, but we'll see. Zenimax is a big studio publisher thing under Microsoft, even if they don't bring in the biggest money. I mean, yeah, sure, Starfield was a bit of a hit and a miss, so to speak. Swing and a miss, I should say. What? Then again, we'll see. They might be able to turn it around. Wouldn't be the first time Bethesda's turned around one of their ailing projects, let's say. And at the very least, they have the Elder Scrolls Online, which, as far as I'm aware, makes money. So they are printing money for Microsoft in some way. As far as their other projects go, TBT. Honestly, the next thing I believe Bethesda is going to be pulling out is the next Elder Scrolls, but that's probably still in early development. And after the business that was Starfield, I honestly don't know what the internal reception at Microsoft's going to be to Bethesda's next big work. I mean, I remember back when Starfield was coming out, the internals at Microsoft, from what I was hearing, were like, the big cheeses were basically saying Starfield was going to be the next thing since sliced bread. It was going to be the next flipping, it was going to replace Fallout 4 as the big, staple thing from Activate or from Bethesda. That did not happen.
Nope.
Oh, maybe not in the way they expected it to. It did replace something. Well, actually, I don't know. Did it replace Fallout 76 in the level of infamy? Nah, I honestly don't think it did, actually. Nothing can
Nah.
truly be as broken as 76.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I played 76 when it came out, and I remember the Black Voids. So, no. No, I had those I had the glitches of enemies just holding a single position and kind of gliding around.
You know what the funniest part is? I ended up buying 76, like, only, what, this year sometime? On, like, cheap discount over the summer? Just as a joke, because, to myself. Because, like, oh, here's a special edition. And, sure, why not? $2, I'll buy it. Like, almost like a joke. But, I don't know. Boy, was I surprised when I just opened up the thing and didn't even see an actual disc. It was just a cardboard card telling you to download the game. I thought it was at the very least a code on the cardboard, but nope, just a cardboard saying download the game. What did I buy? But anyways, 76 is a mess, and I don't think anyone will argue that or was a mess. Some people might argue it's not anymore. But, you know, back to the topic at hand, like I said, I hope that this causes Microsoft to change their policies. I hope they accommodate their workers, and I wish the union all the best. But like I said, it's Microsoft, so 50-50.
50-50.
Anyways, any closing thoughts then you want to say, Justin?
Nah.
Alright then. We'll just leave you at that then. Sorry if this video was a bit more sporadic than usual. We don't do scripts on this show, if you don't know, and this one's a bit more sporadic than usual because this is kind of an on short notice topic. We're kind of probably not good practice. Well, definitely not good practice, but to research this kind of as we're doing it. There's peripheral research, but I'm kind of, as I said, quoting articles as I'm kind of reading them up as here as well.
On the job work.
On the job work we do not get paid for.
Yes.
Strike, strike, strike.
I want my money, please. Editor money, please.
Oh god, if he goes on strike, it'll strike against me and I've got to pay him.
No.
No.
Don't do this to me, editor.
Can I go on strike against myself? That feels like the plot of like some schizophrenia like plot or something like that. That feels like the plot line to some like split personality thing where like one personality strikes against the other. That feels like the plot to some interesting movie right there. The split personality where one personality strikes against the other. I refuse to be in this body anymore.
I am going on strike. Good day, sir.
Good day. Checks out. Body just flops over. Anyways. Have a good one, everyone. I hope you have a good week. Have a good day. Have a good night, whatever. I'm in the UK, so times are different from even where my editor Justin is in Canada, which I think is like 5 p.m. there or 6 p.m. there. It's like 11 a.m.
7 in the morning. Or 7 in the morning. It's almost 6. Yeah, I don't even know, bro. It's the weekend.
It's a time zone.
It is the weekend, and I have no work this weekend. Therefore, I've checked out.
You bastard. I got work at 6 in the morning.
Trust me, my work will make me suffer soon enough.
Alright, you have a good night, everybody. See you all next week. Bye-bye, everybody.